All right, welcome back, everybody. For those of you just joining us, we started at 5:30 and we had an in-camera, and now we're moving back to our regular format here. And so we'll get everybody up to speed on what's been going on. So I'd first ask for a motion to adopt the minutes of 4.1 for our special meeting of council held March 31st. If I could get that from anybody. Councillor Vandenhoek, thank you. All those in favor to adopt the minutes as presented, perfect, unanimous. And moving right along to 4.2, the minutes of our regular meeting held April 6th. If I could get a motion for those minutes as well, I would take it.
I will give you that.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. All those in favor? Wonderful, thank you, carried unanimously. At this time, at 6:32, I will open up our question period. We have one member in attendance. I'm not sure if he's here to ask any questions of us or not. Okay, perfect. And we have not had any questions submitted online. So we're not going to wait. At 6:33, I'll close the question period. Just a friendly reminder for anybody that is on or watches this in the future that please send in your questions electronically. It's not to get a prior look. It's just under the new format that we're using. It's the best way to get an answer for you during the question period. And chambers are open, so you are welcome to come and ask your question in person if you do not feel the need to, or you don't want to send it in. So moving right along to delegation 7.1, we have a gentleman here, Calvin Scott, who is going to give us the 2021 audited financial statements, and I'll let him take it from here.
Wonderful.
Do you want the PowerPoint back up?
Yes, please.
Okie dokie. At the beginning.
We will not go through the entire presentation once again. We'll do the brief version. We will run through the financial results, the independent auditor's report, the financial results, and a couple of the notes for the financial statements. The internal or the independent auditor's report, once again, would state we have a clean opinion. These financial statements are in line with public sector accounting standards. It also states that management is responsible for these statements. You as a council are responsible for the oversight of management. And as auditors, we need to ensure that we have identified and assessed the risk and material in the statement, that we understand your internal controls, that we've evaluated your policies and estimates, included on your ability to continue on into the future, the going concern assumption, and that we have evaluated the presentation of those financial statements. We'll jump into the numbers. The revenues for the year, overall operating revenues have increased by $350,000. We'll see an increase in taxes this year, which was in line with what was budgeted for. So that's about $133,000 increase. We had increased user fees this year. We were providing some bylaw services for the village of Longview, and we also had an increase in fire services. Investment income was down this year with lower interest rates across the board. Licensing permits were up this year with increased development and an increase in fines this year as well. The gain on disposal showing this year was the disposal related to a Zamboni and a couple of garbage trucks. We're going to see other revenues down. Prior year revenues related to some water looping revenue and some donations that were not there this year. And offsite levies were up about $106,000. Some amounts received in lieu for downtown parking this year, and other amounts received for water distribution. Those are overall changes in revenue. Again, up about $350,000 from the prior year. On the expense side of things, overall operating expenses are up about $468,000. We're going to see increases in various areas. Legislative costs are up. This happens every year in an election year, so we've seen an increase there. Administrative costs, we have some asset management reports done. There's also some additional repairs and maintenance and some increases related to wages and amalgamation costs. Policing costs are up about $133,000, mainly due to the RCMP cost sharing agreement. The fire costs are up with more calls and more staff. That turns into additional costs here. The roads, streets, walks, lighting are down about $98,000. So a lot of engineering costs in the prior year in this area, local water looping and planning, a lot of R&M. We also save costs in not contracting out snow removal this year. Water supply this year was up about $155,000 from last year. More usage this year with a dry year, additional employees in this area. We'll see some additional or the decreasing costs in environmental. So some projects done last year, engineering costs that weren't done this year related to drainage and storm sewers, and land usage and planning up about $122,000 from last year. And because in this area more work done related to new developments, more engineering and subcontract costs as well. So again, expenses up $468,000. So both revenues and expenses are up. We'll see that in the next slide. Revenues, expenses both up. We have $1 million included in those expenses, but 1.1 amortization, which is non-cash. We have an operating loss of $454,000, but for capital revenues, which come in about $1.2 million this year for various projects, which leaves the town with a surplus $645,000 this year. So less of a surplus than last year due to a decrease in those capital revenues for sure. The next slide we'll hit you up with is the cash flows. So we can see what that surplus turns into. When we remove non-cash items such as amortization and gain on sale, the operations of the town produce $1.7 million. When we adjust that operating surplus cash-wise for any changes in non-cash items, for payments and payables, the receipt of any amounts owing, or property taxes, anything else of the sort, we can see that operations actually provided for $1.9 million this year in revenue. With that $1.9 million of cash this year, the town spent $1.6 on the acquisition of tangible capital assets, which I'll tell you what those are a little later. We also put $1 million into long-term investments and repaid regular debt of about $91,000, leading to an overall decrease of about $700,000 this year for cash in comparison to last year. The next slide I'll take to is financial assets. So this is going to be what the town owns and owes as of December 31st at one moment in time. This can switch drastically from one day to the next. This will be as of December 31st. As we saw, cash decreased by about $600,000, and that was offset with an increase in investments. So cash moved into long-term investments, about $1 million. Not a significant change in taxes, grants, or trade receivables from the prior year. So the overall financial assets, or what you own, liquid assets, would be about 13.9 this year compared to 13.5 last year. The liability side, or what the town owes, we'll see an increase in accounts payable and accrued liabilities. This is going to be mainly as a result of the RCMP accrued costs, as well as some holdbacks on some tangible capital projects. We'll see deposit liabilities increase as well with increased deposits on the Riverwood security deposits that came in this year. Debt is down with our regular debt payments. So on an overall basis, the liabilities are up as well, but not as much as the financial assets. So if the town had to pay off all of its debt as of December 31st, the town would be left with a $9.9 million excess balance of cash at that point. The next slide is simply a breakdown of deferred revenue, which I will take you through for this purposes. The non-financial assets would be your tangible capital assets, or all of your underground buildings and other structures. On the next slide, sorry. And this year's tangible capital assets, the $1.6 million that was spent, various projects, the town office, there was some roads, water, sewer for 3rd Avenue, the water main looping happened this year, park and ride, New Zamboni, some fire equipment that all came in. So we'll see a significant investment into the town this year into both infrastructure and equipment. And on the accumulated surplus side, we'll see an increase here as well by the $600,000 surplus that happened. So not a significant change in the unrestricted surplus, but we'll see an increase in internally restricted, or those reserves, by about $139,000. Then the rest of the investment this year is going to be put into tangible capital assets. So that'll be the net of the 1.6 spent, less the 1.1 of the depreciation, or taking those assets into use over their useful lives. So on an overall basis, improvement in the financial well-being of the town as compared to last year, although not significant, still an improvement from the prior year. So the town is in a healthy financial position. And that'll be the last slide I'll take you through for this presentation. Any questions? Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kluger.
Can I ask about Struck as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then you said 9.9 million after we pay off all our debt. Does that include the co-signed style agreement with Struck?
Yes, on the consolidated basis, we are going to see, I'll show you that number.
Consolidated with the trucks.
Yeah, I think I just moved the front, that's all the problem is. On a consolidated basis, that 9.9 turns into 8.1 on a consolidated basis. So that would eliminate any debt on the trust.
Anyone else? Okay. Thanks, Colin. That's fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Well done. Happy to hear that the town's in a good, healthy state. It's good. So, yeah, if there's nothing further,
That's it.
yeah, we'll relieve you of your time with us as much as we appreciate it.
Thank you for
It's
having
great
me.
to have
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Questions?
Nope, I would just put the motion on the table,
Yeah, please do.
that council adopt the December 31st, 2021 consolidated financial statements as presented.
Okay,
Accept, adopt. There would be too much word.
Friendly amendments. If anyone would like to speak to it? Hearing none, all those in favor to accept? Unanimously passed. Thank you again, Colin.
Thank you very much for
It's a
having me.
pleasure, yes.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting. I shall send follow-up information soon.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoy. See you.
Okay, wonderful. Let's press on to bylaws, 8.2, excuse me. Bylaws 2022-05 waste, excuse me, 05 waste management bylaw. I believe I'll pass this over to CAO Brown.
so there was a couple amendments that were done that came out of the JPAC meeting. Section 7 and the carts and stolens. So the clause exceptional circumstances may be addressed by the town on a case-by-case basis was added, as well as 8.1. There was some renumbering, and section 8 has changed to talk about the approved collection routes. And then there was a renumbering of B, C, D, and E, as council had requested, or as JPAC had requested.
No F and G.
We didn't,
Deputy Mayor Kliber. I will take a motion.
That council agree to amend bylaw 2022-05, the waste management bylaw as recommended by the board for chiefs. Agreement.
Thank you. Thank you, CAO Brown. Would anyone like to speak to it? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
We did second reading now, and third,
yes, please.
Okay, Councillor Thompson,
I would put second reading forward.
please do.
The council agree to give bylaw 2022-05 waste management bylaw second reading.
All those in favor? Wonderful, carried unanimously. And if I could get a third reading.
Unless you wanted to take it.
She didn't put her hand
I
up.
didn't. Just do it.
Councilor Vandenberg, please,
Let's do it.
the honors.
That council looking at bylaw 2022-05, third and final reading.
All those in favor? Wonderful, carried unanimously. Thank you, team. Okay, action items. 9.1. Donation of the 2002 fire engine. We saw this before.
You have seen this
Yeah.
before.
So does anyone want to speak to it, knowing that knowing where we're at? Has there been any update from Chief Campbell in regards to the
You have an
potential-
option of putting it on consignment, or you have an option of donating it. So as far as the new engine goes, the delivery date has not been established. We anticipate probably the end of May, beginning of June, I believe is what it said.
Okay. Councilor Bain.
I can give a motion and we can debate.
Sure.
The council agreed to donate the 2002 GMC fire engine to Southern Emergency Services for the purpose of providing equipment to enhance EMS fire services in Hopkins area, Belize, with an estimated maximum value of $25,000 for the donation. And if I may speak to the motion.
Please do.
The fire engine was built specifically to save lives and property. It's done well in our area. However, it no longer meets the minimum requirements for a fire engine in Canada or the United States, I understand. However, it can continue to be used to save lives and property in Belize if it is donated there. On the one hand, yes, we could put it up for auction and realize some money that would go back to the town. On the other hand, I feel that it would be a travesty to take the fire engine that can still serve its purpose and cannibalize it, as has been suggested, sell off the tires, sell off the engine, and then just leave a hulk. So I very strongly want and urge everyone to pass this motion to donate the fire engine to a worthy cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bain. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Deputy Mayor Quinn.
A question, when can it go for auction? I didn't see that in the update.
It can go for auction anytime, as soon as the new engine comes. We can't,
Right.
if I may, through the chair,
Please.
we can't get rid of the engine prior to us receiving the new engine. At that time, whenever that delivery date would be, based on council's decision, we would either send it to auction, put it to consignment, and or donate it to Belize. We do not have any confirmation of what that amount that we would receive at auction. Both the fire chief and myself have recommended that it would go on consignment if it is not donated.
I have a question about the storage costs. It would only be stored if we were waiting to send it to auction. It would not be stored if we were waiting to ship it to Belize.
Correct.
But we don't need to wait to send it to auction as soon as it shows up.
We can get rid of it just the same. Sarah.
Yeah, I believe that that was one of the requests that council had for us to research, is what those storage costs would be if we had to store the engine prior to sending it to auction.
Anyone else with questions? Yeah, obviously, we're without Councillor Dunning and Councillor Lalonde tonight. I spoke to both of them and they both sit on fairly opposite sides of the spectrum, so they'd probably just cancel each other out when this is all said and done. If they were both for or against, I'd let everybody know that was the case, but both of them have spoken at these meetings and let us know where they stand, and they followed up with that recently. So we'll take a vote. All those in favor to donate the fire truck? All those opposed?
Carried.
Carried. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight on.
And with that, we'll probably do some press releases as soon as all the transfers actually happen,
Awesome.
and do some community education on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along. 9.2, request for letter of support, Alberta Culture Days. I'm just gonna scroll on back down here. Okay. Would anyone like to speak to this? And if not, I would take a motion and we can vote on it. Deputy Mayor?
The council agreed to provide the Boys and Girls Club of the Foothills with a letter of support as presented for a 2022 Alberta Culture Days grant application.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to speak to it, and if anyone else would like to follow up, they're more than welcome to. Having worked in Eden Valley for almost the past decade, and having taken, in some regards, appropriate steps for truth and reconciliation, I find these letters of support extremely meaningful, not only to our communities, but also to Eden Valley, as we help to bridge a lot of the misconceptions that we hear about. And I find this really, really important as one of those steps. So it's got my full support. If anyone else would like to speak to it, great. If not, we'll vote on it. Seeing none, all those in favor to send the letter, carried unanimously. Wonderful, thank you very much. Yeah, that'd be great. Mine doesn't have the click for some reason. Okay, moving right along to 9.3, the 2021 West End Regional Sewage Services Commission financial reports. And I will pass this one over to CAO Brown, please and thank you.
So West End, actually, a part of their commission rules is they have to, their financial reports need to be addressed by the council of Black Diamond and the council of Turner Valley. I believe that the audit occurred well, these are like, I'm not sure, when did your audit occur?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So anyway.
I made first the following year. So.
Okay. So anyway, there was the West End Regional Sewage Services Commission's financial reports for council's information.
Councilor Rain,
Can you give a motion?
please do.
The council agreed to accept for information purposes the West End Regional Sewage Services Commission 2021 audited financial statements and 2021 financial information return as presented. And I have no further comment. Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak to it? Councilor Thompson.
There were no issues with these financial statements presented to the board, so they were all done fairly and appropriately.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. All those in favor to accept? Wonderful, thanks. Thank you, everybody. Carried unanimously. Okay, volunteer appreciation event on April 28th, next week, I believe. Right? Can't believe we're almost at the end of April already, which is crazy to say out loud. But nonetheless, this was sent to everybody, I believe. And if anyone wants to speak to it, great. Otherwise, we'll take a motion to accept. And Councillor Vandenhoek,
Make that motion to accept it.
okay.
We want to select people who are going.
Oh, my apologies. Okay, I just thought it was a general invite. I wasn't sure we were accepting. Okay,
That's, yeah.
I haven't confirmed yet, but I'm gonna try.
It says you're going.
Councillor Bain.
And I would like to attend as well. I was on the board in the last term. My daughter volunteers at the library. So I'm gonna be driving right there anyway. So I'm just gonna be around for the food. I mean, okay. So,
Okay.
I'll be attending as a board member of SCSS.
That'll be there.
We'll be there. Councillor Vandenhoek.
I can't say I will be there.
Deputy Mayor Clover, please.
The council agree that Councillor Ted Bain will attend the 2022 volunteer appreciation event to assist with hosting, greeting, and that Mayor Brendan Kelly will attend to say a few words of thanks to the attendees as a whole.
I like the option two words. Call me Brenda.
You can.
It's Brenda.
Brenda.
Oh, dear.
I will. I'm definitely gonna make an effort to be there. I definitely-
I'll also make a motion that Brenda Kelly walk in stage.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried unanimously.
That was yours, Jack?
Deputy Mayor Kloiber is gonna write a speech for me, and I will graciously accept it and
You can just copy the one I was.
yes. Thanks for all your work. Great. Yeah, it's just been crazy trying to get ahead 1 week, so I just haven't even been able to plan this week. But nonetheless, I will be there. I'll be there. Okay, let's move right along. 10.1, I believe. Yeah, just want to make sure I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. 10.1, committee minutes requiring council acceptance. Tendering committee, March 28th. And
I'll give you that.
Councillor Thompson.
The council accept the tendering committee, March 28, 2022. Meeting minutes as information.
Deputy Mayor Kloiber.
It's come to my attention that the wrong council member attended this meeting.
That's correct.
So I don't know if that makes it needs to be corrected or what we do here.
Wasn't supposed to be me.
No, if I can speak to it.
Please do.
Councillor Bain was actually appointed to the tendering committee, and Daryl Lalonde was there instead of Councillor Bain, so we are fixing that issue.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to accept. All those in favor to accept as presented? Okay, wonderful, pass unanimously. Council reports. My name is not on there because I submitted mine late and I have no problem accepting that. But just a friendly reminder for all my councilors to make sure that we do get those committee reports in. And that goes for me too. There's no excuse for me not to have mine there. But just a friendly reminder for all of us to make sure that we're getting them in to Verna and administration on time so that they can be posted. If you have them available, it's not too late to send them along. They'll be posted on the next agenda where mine will be. So I'll have two, or I'll have one next meeting and then I'll have one following. So yeah, it's never too late. Get them in, just so that we have them on record. Thank you. Moving right along, correspondence and information. 11.1I, the Town of Turner Valley Recycling Center is set to close. Made note of this in my Facebook Live update a couple hours ago, just in correlation to our 3-stream collection program. There won't be a great need for that facility, and so they will be closing it. And that's information for everybody. Yeah, so I believe there was a gentleman here a couple weeks ago was that from high school? The gentleman that was here with the,
No, that was Larry, Diamond Valley SLCS, Sustainable League of Superleaders, something.
No, sustainable life.
Anyways, the hope, why I'm bringing it up is hopefully that they find a suitor to rent it out and then it becomes something that's, profitable for the town. So there's going to be a building available for rent.
I think I've heard that they're going to encourage terminology with their ideas, so
Great.
hopefully they do that.
Okay, well, if someone wants to, do we want to put a motion on for each one to accept, or do we want to put a motion on for Deputy Mayor?
So I would like to make a motion to accept the counselor reports for information.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Taking a step back,
Thank
could
you.
all those in favor to accept the council reports as information? Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Kloiber. Carried unanimously. And getting back to 11.1, do we want to go through all of them and accept all as information, or do we want to take separate motions for each?
You can do them all as one.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Thank you, Celia Brown. Number 2, municipal affairs, the ICF extension.
I've seen this a couple times.
Again, information. And number 3, or triple I, a resident letter in regards to amalgamation and something to add to our conversation for amalgamation. But we thank those for the letters in favor or against nonetheless. So if anyone wants to speak to any of these items, please let's chat about it. Otherwise, I'll take a motion to accept all as information. Councillor Vandenhoek. And all those in favor to accept the 3 as information? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. That's great. And at this time, we have no notice of motion or anything else on the dock other than a discussion in camera in regards to land negotiations. So at this time, I will take a motion to move into closed at 7:05. Oh, sorry.
Do a recess first.
Thank you.
Sure, okay. So at 7:05, we'll take a recess.